Hello, welcome to my studio. Today we're going to paint a portrait of John Lennon. It's part of the series of the Fab Four, and I guess you're kind of used to it. So I've done 4 portraits in black and white and 4 portraits in color. This one is the black and white one of John. So, once again, I'm going to just, tell you a little bit about the way I paint. So I still have the image of John on a TV screen on my left. My easel is made of two 4x8 planks against the wall, plywood boards, panels. I like to work this way because the background is kind of neutral. So when I work on smaller canvases like this, I like to have them on sort of a wall. So it's pretty cool. Still my big brush and still starting outlining pretty quickly the shape of the face, not getting into details at all, and just having fun. So my palette is on the right. So far, I'm just working with black and turpentine with a little bit of liquid. So it's going to help the painting to dry. So I can work tomorrow or the day after on the painting, and I will work on a dry coat of painting. So you remember I told you, sometimes things like this happen. So remember, I told you at the beginning, I just don't get into details at all. I use so basically what I've done when I framed resize the photo of John on that photo, I used the same size as my canvas. So my canvas is 16 by 20 inches. So roughly the photo of John respect the same proportion. The reason why I do that, it's going to help me to use the negative space, so basically what's around his face, as well to define the volume of his face. It's going to help me to just, make sure the proportions are, about pretty much close to what they are. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to paint the background. The background is a bit complex. I think I'm just going to let it, sketched. I think it will look nice with the portrait. So I'm working on the 4 portraits at the same time. I mean, not obviously at the same time, but as a series. So that means that I'm working, a certain amount of time. I don't really have, I don't have a clock to check the time. So it's more like what's my mood. But usually when I work on a painting like this, usually the sessions are about 15 minutes. It's already quite a lot, to be able to focus for 15 minutes on something and keep that energy of, that I want to have on that painting. So I'm working as well on the 3 other Beatles, black and white. So I work with the large brush. Now I switch to a smaller one, still pretty large, but I think now I can start doing some lines and some, I won't say details, but just putting things together. I'm trying to focus mostly on the large thing. What I mean by that is like if you squint your eye, you will see that his eyes almost disappear. What we most see is his eyebrow and his mustache and his mouth and the hair around as well and the jawline and so on. So I'm going to focus mostly to put that together at the beginning. I'm not going to get into details because I don't know where the details are if I don't put the big structure first. Don't hesitate to squint your eyes to kind of limit the amount of information your brain can process when you look at an image like this. Basically, what I mean by that is that when you squint your eyes, you make that image almost with no details at all. You just see the big mass of colors of black and white and so on. So it's going to help you to really define what's important and what's not. The really important thing to understand, we have time. Don't rush up. Don't think you've done something wrong. Don't panic if a line is not at the right place. It's okay. It's not dangerous. Nothing bad's going to happen to you if you didn't place the eye at the right position or whatever. You have time to move things. We're going to work with white and gray so we can erase, we can correct at any moment. So just relax and enjoy, the discovery of painting such a painting. I'm tracing the glasses. Sometimes, people ask me like, how do you paint a transparent glass? Either it's a glass for drink or, glasses that we wear for optical reason. It's once again, there's no tricks. So it's not like I'm using some tricks to make it look like it's transparent or whatever. I just paint what I see. I paint the light. I paint the range of color. I paint the way the colors or the shapes work together. At some point, the transparency is going to be there, but I'm not trying to make something transparent. It just, in my mind, I don't even see it as transparent. So I'm not painting glasses over eyes. I'm just painting glasses like I would paint his mustache, like I would paint his coat, like I would paint the background. Everything is the same way. Forget about the tricks. Tricks will always work for a certain amount of things and so on. But the more you're going to use tricks, the more you're going to limit yourself in what you can paint. I've been working on those videos for a little bit. I've wanted to do them for a long time. I wanted to share with you my vision of painting and what I see and what I do when I paint. So just as a little, I explained it already in some other videos, but the view you're seeing right now is on the side of my palette. So basically, I have a camera on the side of me, about a couple of feet away from me. So basically, what you're seeing right now, it's called an anamorphosis. Anamorphosis means the image is not flat, it's not perpendicular to you, it has an angle. So it creates a deformation. Now, what you're seeing right now is different. Through some softwares and so on, I was able to deform that image and to bring back the image in a frontal position. So what you see right now, it's pretty much what I see when I paint. It's pretty cool. Technology is amazing. I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to be Walt Disney and to do an animation movie. I was maybe 6, 7 years old. I wanted to create my first animated movie. So I will go through that technique one day. I will do a video about that because it's pretty fascinating the way the old style animation movie were made. So basically, they were painting on cello, on sails, which were transparent plastic sheets that you were putting on top of a background, which was usually a landscape or something. And then you were painting image per image, knowing that there was 24 images per second. So you imagine the amount of work. So my first animated movie was a little clown moving. I think I did 8 or 10 of these images and then I gave up. So basically, I did half a second. Now with the computer technology, the possibilities are so incredible. I'm doing video clips, I'm doing music, I'm doing so many things with all those tools. It's really great, and I'm really happy I can share with you those paintings and see, so you can see the process. We'll go visit some museum as well at some point, and I will show you as well. I will explain to you the technique of the painters, either the old masters or more like impressionists or moderns or contemporary. I think that's take a little bit of the magic, not the magic away, because it's still something pretty magical. But it's definitely something for me. It's definitely something interesting to see. All those guys did it. I went in art school for many years, I think for 9 years. Yeah, that was pretty long. Um, the thing is, once again, the technique is pretty much something that I want you to understand. It's not necessarily, I mean, of course, we're talking about skill a little bit, but it's also about the joy of doing things. It's really important to have pleasure. Are you going to make a portrait of John that really looks like John? I don't know. At the end of the day, if you train enough, if you do a lot of portraiture, if you do a lot of paintings and so on, at some point you will get some good results. I had a student a few years ago, like 6, 7 years ago, who started sketching some portraits, and her first portraits were, they were interesting, but they were not like the likeness was not there and so on. If you could see what she's doing right now, it's pretty fascinating. And, there's still a lot of freedom, a lot of pleasure, a lot of joy, which is really what I didn't want her to lose. I don't want painting to become some sort of a burden or some sort of a thing, where you have to sweat and struggle and feel so unhappy and so on. If even if you want to become a successful artist painter, it's still about having the joy of painting. If you don't have a joy, if you don't feel that pleasure, if you feel scared or overwhelmed and so on, it might be too much. So just relax and paint. Nobody's going to judge you. You don't have to show your painting to everybody. So I'm taking a little break, right now with the it's why you have that little, black screen. What's happening actually is that I'm in the studio. I work for, as I said, I work for a certain amount of time. This time was about 10 minutes, which is, I feel 10 minutes when you really focus on something. 10 minutes is still a long time. I mean, ask a 5 years old kid how long they can focus on something, you will see. So, it's a little bit the same. So, I don't want to overdo things. I'd rather keep that first impression and my eyes clean. To make an analogy, really simple. Imagine, you're on vacation. You're in a beautiful hotel in the south of Italy, and everything is great and so on. And you feel the air. You feel it's beautiful this morning, and you open your window and you open the curtains, and then you see a beautiful landscapes in front of you. What's really important to understand is that view, that feeling, you're going to have it for 1 second or 2 seconds, and then you're going to start looking around. You're going to see the trashes in, down the hotel or whatever, and then that thing start kind of dissolving. What I want you to keep is that first second. If you can paint, and if you can remember that first second and paint it, you will do amazing paintings. Time is a condition really important in painting. Some painters, there's a painter I love, his name is Jean de Gotex. He was a French painter, and he was doing paintings in few seconds, basically pretty much like one stroke of painting. When you look at the painting, you might think, okay, it's pretty simple. I can do the same. Actually, the gentleman was doing yoga, meditation, a lot of spiritual activities, linked to, Asian culture and so on. And he was focusing for hours and hours and hours, sitting in front of a white canvas and gathering all that energy inside of him. And just at one point, releasing all that energy. And, I definitely think, even if you paint for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, try to keep that in mind. You need to have that energy when you come to the canvas. You need to feel like, wow, I'm having a great time. I'm going to have a great time, because that's a key thing, to translate in the painting, that mood, that those feelings you have. So definitely it's important for you to just realize that painting is a beautiful thing. It's a luxury. It's one of the things we do when, a lot of other things are done. I really love to work on black and white paintings. I feel like there's something really enjoyable about the rendering of those elements, and almost looking like at the end like some sort of a, I won't say black and white photo, because of course there's a lot of things that are different, but it's really refreshing for me. I really love it. And you can work monochromatic, like you can work with only one color. I did a whole series of monochromatic studies, body studies, a long time ago, and it was really nice. The power of color, even black as a color, is something really nice. It's also really beneficial in the way that we learn clarity and basically the value of either the skin tone or whatever. It's really interesting because it teaches you to look at the color at regard to the other one, and to create the right contrast. So it's a really good training, because when we work with colors, sometimes the colors are kind of so vibrant that it can overload you or overwhelm you. Mostly when it comes to body or faces or things like this. So don't hesitate to do black and white sketches like this. I already said about the painting on paper. Black and white oil painting on paper is great. You can do studies of your pets, studies of your loved ones. You can take a photo and put it on your computer and paint from it. Do not hesitate to paint that. It doesn't have to be long. You can paint for maybe barely 2 minutes, do a quick sketch or something like this. It's really nice. It's a really great training for your eyes, for your mind, for your hand, just to connect the whole thing together. I usually prime my canvas with acrylic painting, latex, acrylic, whatever. I like it when it's I don't like to work on matte color. When it's really matte. The reason why it's I said it already, but the painting, when you apply painting on a matte background, it's going to swallow the turpentine. It's going to swallow the colors and so on. So sometimes you feel like you put a little brushwork on the canvas and boom, it disappears. It's melt into the thing, and it's pretty difficult to blend, to do things like this. So what I like is to work on something that is not completely sleek. Like I would not work on a semi-gloss or gloss painting, because I would feel like working on plastic, at least at the beginning. After a while, when the painting covers that, it changes a little bit the nature of the surface. But remains the fact that it's still something pretty tricky. So I like to work on a prime canvas that is either eggshell or satin. It just drink the color just enough to be able to paint, and not. I think it's, for me, it's a good mix. And what I like as well, so you saw me taking a break. I talked about taking a break. The break is also giving the time for the painting to soak in, to to get into the fabric, the canvas, the surface. So basically, even if I wait an hour, I can work again on the painting without working completely in the fresh. So I like that. Now, that say after a while, even if I do that a couple of times during the day, there's a point where I feel like, I'd rather let it dry and work the next day. The thing as well is that we have a tendency to convince ourselves that what we're doing is right. So sometimes by taking, a break, a distance, couple of days, couple of hours, whatever, I come back with a fresh eye. So it helps me to reset my brain and to see the photo or the document or whatever I'm working from, or the model in the studio, with a fresh eye. I used to work only with live models, and actually now I work mostly from photos I'm taking myself, and I'm working from photos that I put on a TV screen. There's a reason as well I'm doing that. First of all, being with a model in the studio is not that easy. There's several types of models, of course. There's the model who's going to model for you because he's a friend or she's a friend or whatever, and they just love your work and they're willing to give that time to you as a gesture of kindness. There's also the model you pay. When we work in studio, painters, professional painters have professional models. So basically, people who come and you paid to model for you. I have problem with that a little bit. Not that I have an issue with with paying someone for doing something so generous, because sitting for hours without moving. I will tell you one day about the experience I had with models, because sometimes for models it's really difficult. To sit without moving is physically tremendously demanding. But I like as well to imagine that people I paint have a special relationship with my painting, and somehow they want to they want to be part of that experience. So having a professional model sometimes make me feel a little bit like, where's the common love or the common respect or something like this. So I like to have that feeling of people, mostly when I do portrait, because portrait for me is really something special. Portraiture is really something special to me. I think there's a relationship with eternity, with resistance to time going on, and I think it's, to me, it's really important to have that. So working from photos or a TV screen make me feel like more comfortable about the time I spend painting, about the break I can take. Like, for example, when you have a model, you're almost like on a pattern. You paint for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, then there's a 10 minutes break. Uh, what if you want to take a break after 20 minutes and you're in a room with 20 other students and you just feel like it's not the right time for me? And then you say, oh, I will come back in 20 minutes. And then when you come back, the model take a break. It takes a break. So, it just, so it's why I like working this way. The other thing I've noticed is that when I work from photos, it's not something pleasant to me. I'm talking about the paper photo. The TV screen is definitely a different relationship for me. First of all, I can enlarge some of the details. I can walk away, as I said. I don't have to wait for anything. It's my rhythm and not the model rhythm. And the rendering of colors, if you look at my video color theory, I explain about the difference between additive and subtractive system. And the additive system, which is a system used by TV, has a color rendering that is so much better than photos. So feel absolutely free, those videos, to turn the sound off and just put some music or something. For me, it's difficult to tell you exactly the process. Like, I'm not going to start telling you, oh, I'm mixing some white and gray to make some gray, lighter gray, and paint that and so on, because I think that everything is so important in that relationship. And as you can tell, my work leaves a lot of room for the brushwork, which is something really magical for me. When I go to see the some painters, and when I see that they can translate an eye into one brushwork, and it seems so easy. Yeah, that brushwork sometimes takes hours and hours and hours before getting there. It's an illusion, of course. It's an illusion. The facility, with those masters is an illusion. It takes hours and hours and hours of training and so on. It's the same thing when you go to see a concert. Either it's a classical concert, a violinist, or a guitar player in a rock band and so on. The guy goes on stage and plays an amazing solo, and he makes it so easy, and he's smoking a cigarette and drinking a beer at the same time. And you're just like, wow, that's easy. Yeah, grab the guitar and try it. And you will see, of course, it's hours and hours of trainings to a point where the effort seems effortless. I feel like I'm done for the day. So I'm going to let it dry and come back tomorrow. Stay number 2. I walk in the studio, look at the painting, look at the portrait, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's awful. That's awful. I just have so many things to do on that thing to make it look good. It's not awful like, it's bad. It's awful like I'm not happy with what I've done. So, but I'm excited as well, because I have things to do and I see what I have to do, which is so great. And if I don't really see what I have to do, I still know it's not enough. And I still trust myself enough to say, okay, you know what? Don't panic. Don't panic. Just put the painting on the easel, look at the original, look at the photo, get inspired, try to feel that energy through you, try to recreate that beautiful vibe you have when you look at that photo, all the love I have, not only because it's John Lennon, just because it's a human being, just because it's a beautiful image, just because it's something I want to share with people. It's really important when you pick up your subject, that you have that connection. Don't necessarily pick up subject that a lot of people paint sunsets because sunsets are cool. It reminds them of vacation and so on. I'm not really into that. I think easy subjects make easy paintings. So I'd rather pick up something more, less cliche. So when you pick up your subject, think about it as well. It's more important for the viewer to be seduced by your painting than by the sunset. If someone look at your painting and say, oh, it's a nice sunset, and they don't say it's a nice painting, then maybe you should not paint a sunset, but something else. So that will bring them to say, it's a nice painting. I'm not working on, light and darkness and blah blah blah. As I say, it's a little bit about being ADD. It's about working on everything at the same time. So I'm just comparing things. I'm just like, okay, where is the darkest place? Where is the lightest place? And those things are so complex. The relationship between all those grays, because we're talking about, from white to black, how many variation. There's some obviously there's some softwares who can do that, like when you have those small icons on your phone or whatever. Of course, they limit the number of colors. Sometimes it's only 236 colors, or variation on black. Sometimes it's even less. You can do a portrait with 10 different gray from white to black, and you just need to simplify the image. For me, on paintings like this, I don't know how many grays or many variation I have. I guess I have quite a lot, and I like that. So it's why I don't like to prepare some gray or whatever on my palette. I wipe off my palette on a regular basis. Maybe not when it's black and white, because black and white is black and white. I mean, you're not going to get color mixed, but the black and the white. But I like to really evaluate those grays, because they're so complex. The complexity of that image is absolutely mesmerizing and beautiful. The relationship between the shapes, those little colors, the matters, and so on and so on. It's beautiful. Once again, the main thing is for me is to forget what I'm painting. I'm not doing the portrait of John Lennon. I'm not doing the portrait of someone. I'm doing a painting. And what matters at the end is not the portrait of John Lennon. What matters is it a good painting or not? It's a little bit like poetry, actually. Um, there's some subject matter, mostly right now with social media and the craziness of all that, all those things, all the subject that upset people and they fight and so on and so on. You can paint, you can do a painting about, something that is really trendy in the news, and you make it really political and so on. That's great. There was these painters, Leon Golub and other guys who are doing more political stuff. Like, for example, I love Philip Guston, and Guston has a vision that is maybe a little bit politic, we can say, but at the end of the day, the paintings are stunning, and I don't care what he paints. He can paint a building. He can paint. I'm talking about his figurative period. There's something about the way it's painted that moved me. Of course, the subject moved me as well, but it's a combination between things. If you think about it, as I was talking about, those variation of gray and so on. There's so many inputs, so many variables, so many components, so many grays, black, lines, dots, surface, in a painting like this, that of course we could work for days and days and days. Mostly the way I work, sometimes people work, like, for example, Chuck Close or the painters, they work in a really precise way. I'm not talking about all the work of Close, but some of his earlier works when he was doing those big black and white paintings, where he was gridding the painting and painting, square by square. At some point he stopped, and and now his work is great, because to me it's more painterly. So it's the same thing. We could just project that painting and just work on a little area, like 2 square inches and so on, and just like say, okay, I'm going to do that, and do it, and then expand like you would conquer a territory. I don't work like this. I'd rather work a little bit everywhere and just have more fun. I think it's, at the end, it's also about having a good time. You might think I'm drinking a lot of coffee. Actually, I do. Those breaks are really important to reset your brain, to reset your soul, to just recapture that energy you want to put on the canvas and you want to share with the people. If you have people around you, if you have kids, if you have your pets, if you have your spouse, if you have your friends, if you have, just take those breaks as well and go see them and spend some time with them, or do something positive for you. It's going to help you when you come back to the canvas, to the painting. The way I envision painting is something about soul. It's about finding that inner you that you're gonna cherish. It's I know sometimes it might sound a little bit frustrating because you might not have the results you want in your painting. Once again, it's about taking time. You need to learn how to be kind to yourself to become a good painter. That doesn't mean you're not demanding. But at the end, it's also about some sort of self-confidence and some sort of a kindness to yourself. Of course, the painting is not amazing or whatever. Of course, you can do better. Um, it's why we paint. It's why we paint every day. If you do the best painting you've ever done in your life and you will ever do in your life, why should you go on painting? So be aware that every work, every painting is just it's just a little rock. I use that metaphor often. It's like, remember the tale Hansel and Gretel, where they get lost in the forest and they have to drop little pieces of rock or bread behind them to find their way back. Your painting are the same. You're in the forest, you don't know where you're going. You're trying to meet yourself. That's strangely, but I believe it's about a little bit about that. And your paintings are just your past. It's your prints. It's where you've been. So when you look back, you can see where you're coming from. The strange thing is when you look at a book of, let's say, Gauguin. You take a book about Gauguin, you look at his early works, everything is there. The colors, the palette, everything is already there. It's going to take him 40 years, 50 years, maybe not 50. I don't think he lived that long, actually, poor guy. But it's going to take you a long time to become who you are. And once you look at the past after, it's kind of obvious to know where you were going. But when you were in the moment, you didn't know. You were just trusting yourself and trusting, what you could do with it. So you see, the painting is now looking more and more, looking like the the original, like the photo. Once again, no stress, no struggle. It's just about putting things together. If you build a sand castle and you start by the tower at the top, it's not going to work. You have to start by building a big stack of sand, and then after you add some element, and then you get more and more into the details until you use that little straw you find on the beach, which is really bad. We should not find straw on the beach here, but any kind of tool, piece of wood, whatever. And you start drawing the windows and doing the little doors and so on. You cannot do that at the beginning. So the painting is the same. So don't be worried. Just take your time and you will get there. So as you can tell, as you see now, I'm working with a much smaller brush. I'm alternating the size of the brush depending on what I need to do. Usually, when I'm at this stage in the painting, obviously I'm getting closer and closer to the final rendering. Uh, the scale, the size, the scale of my brush reduce to match the tiny areas where I'm working on. But the way I work, the spirit, the I would say technique, but technique might sound a little bit too much of a science word. But the approach I have is pretty much the same. I'm still working with the same thoughts, the same eyes than when I started on the white canvas. There's no difference. I don't split my brain at some point and saying, okay, now I'm going to do the finishing. No, I'm building a house. The house won't be finished until everything is done. But I had a vision from the beginning and to the end, and it's all the same. It's all about, it's the same time, it's the same energy, it's the same, it's just a matter of scale. So basically, if we could enlarge, like a tiny detail, like imagine I'm just shooting a square inch of that painting. That's it. and all you're going to see on the screen is the square inch of that painting, indeed, the rendering, the result would be the same than watching the full painting. Of course, it would take more time, and you would see, if I were just selecting that time when I'm working on that square inch, you would see that it's actually the same. I'm working the same way. I'm not changing the way I work because I'm working in a more precise way or in a smaller area. Now I'm having fun on the background. You see, I think those lines are too strong. So it's why I'm kind of blending them, because I don't want those lines to take away the attention from the face of John. And, it's like if I put a big red dot on the left side of the painting, of course, you're going to see the big red dot. So another day, once again, putting the paintings in the studio against the wall, coming back the next day with a fresh eye, and the painting now on the portrait is dry. So I'm going to be able to blend and to work with less colors and to do more blending and to smoothen those brushwork that might be too harsh. I still want the brushwork to be visible, but once again, it's like when I was talking about the big red dots. Those brushwork act like would be the big red dot. So what I want is to make things more smooth, and so your eyes don't get caught when you look at the painting on something. Like, for example, if you look at the shadow on the edge of the nose right now, I feel that line is too harsh. You see, I'm talking about the nostril on the left. I'm pretty sure I'm going to correct that. I don't remember because I've done that painting several days ago, but I should do it. If I don't, it's no good. The glasses are a bit tricky because that metal round, that circle, the lens, has to be precise, has to be circular and precise. Don't hesitate to work from the inside and the outside when you do something like this. If you take a brush and you just draw a circle and thinking it's going to be the metal around the lens, there's a lot of chance it's going to feel like it's a collage, like it's an addition on the face. I want those glasses to be part of the face because they are part of the face. So, even if I work a little bit with a darker gray to materialize the metal rim, I work also with white, so it's a game between both. And actually, everything's the same. Either it's the cheekbones, the nose, or whatever. I'm coming from the outside and the inside. So for example, if it's white and gray, I'm gonna look. That's exactly what I'm saying. So I feel like this part is in the light. Now, of course, I'm working with a brush that is so bad, I would say, that that line is really thick. It's easy. I just need to mix some gray and I'm going to fix it. I'm going to make it thinner. You see, that's exactly what I'm doing. So now I guess I'm going to get some black. And I'm going to redefine those lines that I made obviously way too thick. I'm getting there. So I've been working on that painting for about 38 minutes now. I feel I'm close to being done. It's not about doing a photorealistic portrait. It's more like a little training with you guys and just having fun doing that painting. Now, if we were working much more on that painting, we could go to photorealism. Why not? It's all about you. It's all about what you want. It's all about your own story, who you are, and so on. I'm not in that story. I'm not into photorealism. I could do it. I just don't. I'm not that moved with. I'm not that moved with photorealism. So I stick with my own personality. But if you want to go all the way to photorealism, you can take exactly the same road, but just you go much further than what I do. Which Doesn't mean it's going to get better, by the way. Not that I consider my work as, extraordinary or whatever. But once again, the painting needs to be a reflection of who you are, not just explaining to people how gifted you are, or things like this. People won't love you because you're gifted. They will love you because you're close to them. So we're almost there. I hope you enjoyed that time with me, and I wish you a beautiful day, and hope to see you for the next video. Okay, have a great day. Bye bye.